everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be doing my October TBR. So fun fact, in September, I think I ended up reading, like, September isn't done yet, but I don't know if I'm gonna end up finishing another book. So I ended up reading, at least so far, like 4 books. So you would think that I would make like a small TBR for October, since October is like midterms, like it's just super busy all the time and it's just a crazy month. So you would think it would be small, right? No, this TBR is 12 books, so this is great. It's gonna be a real fun month. So on the bright side of all of this, I only have 3 books to read for school, so I don't have a lot of school reading, which is good. So the first book that I have to read is The Light Princess by George Macdonald, and this is for my class on the Victorians and disability, and I'm very interested to see how that topic will play out in this book. And then I also have to read The Princess and the Goblin, also by George Macdonald. I had a brain fart there. And this is for my Victorian Underworlds class, which is very interesting so far, and I'm very excited because I'm going to be doing a project on this one, and I also have heard that this is like Alice in Wonderland, so you know me, and I'm on board with it. The other book that I have to read is The Coming Race by Edward something Bull-Lytton, I think, something like that. I'm not very excited for it, which is why I don't really know the title, but I will be reading it, and hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised. I don't know. Next up, I want to read The Constant Princess by Philippa Gregory. I was listening to the audiobook of this one, and I started it in August, but then my phone broke, and I have been without a phone for a month, so I haven't been able to listen to audiobooks, which is partially the reason why I haven't read a lot this month. So I'm hoping that soon I will get my phone and then I will be able to listen to this. It's been more than a month. This is ridiculous. Now I'm gonna get angry about it. But I'm hoping I will be able to finish this book soon and I'll get a phone to do it. Ooh. Next up, I just have a few books that are kind of fitting with the Halloween vibe, because around Halloween in October, I like to read kind of creepy books, or what I consider creepy books, because I'm a huge chicken, so if it says like monster, I'm like, ooh, creepy book. So the first one is Beware That Girl by Theresa Totten. This one deals with kind of a like murder mystery sort of thing, I believe. I know it's not about monsters and stuff, but it definitely is kind of a mystery story, which is something you don't get a lot in YA and something that I tend to veer away from, but I'm pretty interested in this one. I've heard very mixed things about it, so I'm very interested to see what I'm going to think. And I know at work a lot of people are always asking me for mysteries in teen, and I usually draw a blank, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to add one to my list of recommendations, but we'll see. Next up is The Retribution of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. This is the conclusion to the Mara Dyer trilogy, and I believe I've been reading them for 3 years now, and I've been reading one every October. I think I've been reading them on October. If I haven't been, then that was dumb on my part, but I definitely am going to be reading this one in October. I'm finally going to be finishing up this trilogy, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I've heard mixed things about the conclusion as well, so I kind of have low expectations. I also haven't read the other books in a really long time, so it's going to be kind of interesting going into it, but I definitely am excited because these books do creep me right out. And the final kind of creepy-ish book on my TBR is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I know that this one deals with kind of like monsters. I know it's a fantasy without a romance, which is pretty cool to read about because you don't get that very often, and it's like kind of good and evil meeting, and you have to choose like good over evil. I know very vague things about this book, but I kind of just want to go into it not knowing much, so I'm not mad about that. Next up, I only have a couple of fantasies on my TBR because honestly, I'm kind of veering away from fantasy right now just because Empire of Storms took so much out of me because it was so complicated and confusing and hard for me to read. So those books take me forever and they like are so draining, so I'm kind of staying away from fantasy and going more towards other genres right now, but there are a couple that have been on my radar recently. So the first one, I said that really funny, so the first one is Furthermore by Tahereh Mafi. This book came out at the end of August and I just have to read it because because it's Tahereh Mafi. The cover is beautiful. I haven't really looked into reviews for it or anything yet, so I'm not sure how people are liking it, but it's also middle grade, which is very interesting to me, and I believe it's a world full of color and the one girl is black and white, so it sounds like a very interesting concept, and it is fantasy, I would think, but it's kind of more of like a lower fantasy, so I think I'll pick this one up before I pick up any high fantasy. And the other book that I have on here is a high fantasy, and that is Frost Like Night by Sarah Rosh. This is the conclusion to the Snow Like Ashes trilogy, which is one of my favorite trilogies. I love it so much, and I am so sad that it's going to be over, so I'm kind of putting it off a little bit, especially because like Empire of Storms just killed me, but I still really want to pick this up, but I know I probably won't enjoy it as much right now, so I'm putting it off for a little bit, but I am honestly so excited for this one, very interested to see where the storyline is going to go, and I'm really sad that my time with that kingdom is going to be over, but I'm very excited for it at the same time. I also have one sci-fi on this TBR, because why not, and that is The Thousandth Floor by Katherine Mcgee, and I've heard very mixed things about this book, but the whole concept intrigued me, and it was one of my most anticipated releases for summer, so I'm willing to give it a shot and see how it goes. I think I'm going to look into seeing if there's an audiobook for it, and when I get a phone, then I will listen to the audiobook. And the last three on my TBR are from my fall TBR, so they are historical fictions that I've been interested in, and the first one is Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. I love Ruta Sepetys, and I am so excited for this book. I know people loved it, everyone was reading it last year, but I just kept on putting it off, and then it was summer, and then I was like, I'm not going to read it now because I need to read it in the fall. So this is like the book that I think I'm most looking forward to reading this fall, and I'm really hoping that it's as good as everyone else is saying it is. I also want to pick up Black Dove White Raven, which is by Elizabeth Wine, the author of Codename Verity. I didn't know, but she came out with a new book kind of recently. I believe it was spring of 2015, so I definitely want to check that one out, and if I end up getting it this month, then I'll probably end up reading it this month. Next up is Walk on Earth a Stranger by Carson. I've had this book forever, and once again have been putting it off until fall, and now I'm just very excited for it. I know the second one is coming out next week. Actually, it'll be out the day that this video is up, so I'm very excited to get into it, and I'm hoping that I will enjoy it. Plus, it's like a historical fiction about the gold rush, which I've never read, so I think it will be really cool. And the final book on my TBR is Anna and the Swallow Man, and this is by Gabrielle Savit. This is kind of like a magical realism, and I believe it's in kind of the same vein as Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys, so I'm very excited for this, super intrigued, and I can't wait to get into it. So those are all of the books on my October TBR. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what books are on your TBR, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!